Hello and welcome to Manifesting Financial Abundance with Reagan Hillyer Q&A session transcript. My name is Empress Pamela, and today I am sharing the content from a course I took with Solana, which was a subdivision of Mind Valley, and it was a course given by Reagan Hillyer. I took the course in 2020 during the pandemic, and I wanted to share with you some additional information that was provided as part of the course. I think I might have to split this into two videos. I can get a good 30 minutes in my videos before I have to split them. So I'll either read quickly or it'll be part one and part two. Okay, and this is what I'm just reading from the transcript that I printed out as part of the course. Okay. I'm so excited to dive into this Q&A session with you. This is Reagan. Question: what is the relationship between your soul and your money? Answer from Reagan. The relationship between your soul and your money is so important because, in my opinion, you can manifest money being disconnected from your soul, but that generally leads to a life where you're unhappy and unfulfilled. You've got to push. You've got a struggle. You've got to really force it to show up and make it happen. Now you see you can still manifest money that way, but in order to do this in a higher frequency, in a higher way, this is a fusion which happens. Well, you can start syncing up and going. Okay, cool. What if I was to dive deep into my soul, and from this place, I ask myself to receive money and frequency at the highest level possible? And when you start manifesting money from a soul level, everything changes. Guidance flows through you. People show up to support you. Opportunities line up. It all gets easier. But the big thing to remember is that it's a choice. You can create money disconnected from your soul or connected to you. And you can create money disconnected from your soul or connected to your soul. But at the end of the day, the choice is yours. Okay. Question: what is a common missing link for people who can't tap into total abundance? Reagan: the missing link when it comes to people who haven't been able to yet tap into expanded abundance is that they have these underlying scarcity patterns in the field, and they don't realize that this scarcity is running and it's controlling them and it's consuming them. And you see, so many people think that in order to release scarcity, you need to go and make all these big, huge, massive changes in your life. And although you can do that, scarcity is often evaporated away in the small, tiny changes. It's the decisions that you make when you're buying groceries in the supermarket. It's the type of Uber that you choose to get because it makes you feel more abundant. It's the small choices and the small decisions that actually release the scarcity and elevate you into this place of abundance. But this is the missing link that so many people just don't see. Question: when envisioning, how can we best discern from being delusional or optimistic? Reagan: some people say to me, Reagan, how can I focus on being fully abundant and not looking at my current reality, because then I'm living in denial of where I'm actually at? And there is this beautiful dance that takes place right where we start knowing that in order to manifest abundance, we need to be deeply committed to that highest vision of ourselves and deeply committed to the most abundant version and the abundant vision that we're calling in. But what happens is people get worried that they're going to live in denial and live in this illusion and kind of get delusional about what's actually going on in their life. And so, please know that I would never suggest that you only live out in the future and you just ignore where you're at. In fact, that's being irresponsible with your money. The first pace when it comes to manifesting abundance is always to get raw and real with where you're at and to get totally clear and to look at your bank account and go, wow. This is a summary of all my past choices, and this is where I'm at. And you have no judgment on that. No matter how great or not great it may perceive itself to be in your reality. But you see, if you look at it and then from that place you choose to disassociate from it, from that place you choose to remember that, okay? I know, that's confusing. My current circumstances are not my future reality, and they've been nothing to do with where I'm actually going. But can you see the difference? It's that we're not living in denial with where we're at. We're getting raw and real and radical with it and going, okay, cool, that's where it is. And from that place, I see that and I choose this future. So it's about acknowledging it. Okay. What is the deepest fear hidden under the energy of lack? Reagan. Sure. One of the deepest fears that hides under the surface of this lack frequency is scarcity frequency that can show up and actually block abundance. It's this deep, deep, deep fear that you are going to die without truly living into your purpose. You're going to die without truly living into the most abundant life which was available and is available for years. And if we go even deeper under this fear, deep down underneath us at the core, we're worried that we're not enough. We're worried that we're not enough to actually receive living into our most abundant life, which then, later as a fear, as maybe we weren't living to a purpose in this lifetime. Maybe I'll go to the grave having not lived into my full potential, which then manifests as lack, which then manifests. Okay, let me just create scarcity and live my life not looking underneath there, and then you're not looking at the core of it, which is you feeling that you're not enough. The minute you can see that and recalibrate that and choose that, okay, I am enough to live my most abundant life, everything changes. So it's a lot about mindset, right? Okay. Question. How can we shift from fear to abundance when facing debt or financial crises? Reagan. So, when you're in a place where you could tag it as a financial crisis, or there's a lot of pressure, or maybe you have a lot of debt right now and high payments to make, whatever is going on for you that's putting this financial stress on you, many people ask, how do I operate from a place that is not deeply rooted in fear? Because they just substantially worried about the outcome around and what's going to happen if I don't make these payments, or I don't clear the debt, or I don't survive this financial crisis. So in order to clear out this deep fear and have it not affect you, I always ask myself in these situations, and I get so many people to ask themselves the same thing. What is the worst thing that could happen, right? What is that absolute worst case scenario? If everything was to explode and blow up and get in the worst place possible, what would go on? And then get real with that and write that down. So what is the worst thing that could happen? Okay, well, maybe I would be evicted from my apartment and maybe people would judge me. And maybe this would go on and on. And then you look at that list and you simply ask yourself, if all of that did happen, would you be okay? Could you handle it? Are you going to survive it, or will you die? And I'm yet to find someone who would die, right? Because there's always some solution to stay alive during this process, even if it can be challenging. So the minute you do this, your unconscious mind starts going, oh, really? I had this huge fear and I can actually handle it? Oh, let me not give so much power to the fear anymore, right? Okay. And so then the fear starts jumping away. And then from this place that you remember that my current reality has nothing to do with my future circumstances. Only if I'm able to see it and then disconnect and connect then with my vision. Because what happens if you don't do that and you don't see it and then disconnect? What happens if you live in it and you breathe it and you're like, oh my goodness, this is where I'm at right now. And you stop going copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste into your future and you start creating a future that's copy pasted from this financial crisis that's going on right now. So instead of doing that, you see that you release the fear of it, and then you choose to start putting your focus, energy, and emotions and intention out into your future around the abundant future that you're creating. I just saw 11:22 on the clock. Question: what is the best way to work with distortions that you are unaware of, blind to? Reagan. There are many ways to go into your blind spots and start seeing these parts of yourself that maybe you haven't seen before. There are many different tools and modalities, and especially if you have a mentor or a coach working with you from the outside looking in. Often, other people can see your blind spots, while it can be more challenging to see them yourself. Now, if it's just you right now and you're committed to doing this work, just ask yourself, I request to see anything that's blocking me, stopping me, that I have not seen before. And start journaling it, meditating on that, start looking at that, start going, okay, well, if I was to know what is blocking me, stopping me, that I have not been able to see before, please let me humbly see that. And then from this place, you start expanding your consciousness and your awareness into a place where when you start being okay with all. There's that thing and there's this thing, and then you stop playing with these blind spots because it can be really challenging to shift these blind spots if you're not consciously aware of. Question: if I do all the sessions and feel more positive about my future, but I still can't see any abundance opportunities, what am I doing wrong? Reagan. So when it comes to manifesting financial abundance, it's not just about thinking positive, right? It's not just about going through and doing all these tasks. It's about allowing them to activate you from a deeper level. Sure, if you're sitting there and you're saying, I'm not seeing results, well, then what part of you is not available to accessing results? What part of you believes that maybe this isn't possible? What part of you maybe has a pattern running away and telling yourself that it's all too hard? Sure, if that's happening and you're in a place where you're showing off and you're doing this journey, but the results are not manifesting as fast as you desire, then I just invite you to go even deeper and go into the deeper layers of this alchemy, because we know that this works. And this works for tens of thousands of people in terms of all these modalities and these processes. And if not me, if not them, then why not you, right? So it is your responsibility to go in even deeper and commit to doing this work at an even more power level. Question: what does the first 60 minutes of your morning look like? Reagan. Some days that might be doing a certain body work piece. Some days that might be journaling. Some days it might just be 5 to 10 minutes of checking in and shifting my vibe and then getting into this new place. So, for me, none of the systems and none of the templates worked. But I invite you to instead train yourself to listen to yourself. Question: how do you deal with jealousy? Reagan: if I notice or feel that people are jealous of me, then I just remember this. It doesn't affect me and it doesn't bother me because I actually realize that I'm standing here as a super bright, shining reflection of everything that is possible for them. Now it is their responsibility to notice their jealousy and to look inside and actually realize that, wow, okay, I've been feeling jealous of Reagan because there's a part of me that's actually quite like her, that I haven't said yes to it right now. And I know that I can't fix that for them. That is their journey. And so you have people being jealous of you. It's the same thing. We just have to see the love and compassion and know that in the long run, actually doing them a favor by showing them everything that they are. Question: what is the vision beyond your vision? Reagan: as for my vision beyond my vision, it shifts a lot and it changes because I'm always moving so rapidly into my next vision, right? And sure, I would be here for hours, to be honest. And if I sat here and broke down into my vision with all my vision in every area of my life, but one of my financial visions beyond my visions, for example, is to scale my businesses to be $100 million businesses, right? And so for me, that's a place where it doesn't feel like a next step, but it feels like that's a step beyond the step, right? And so I'm constantly tuning into that. I'm connecting with that. I'm doing the work around that. I'm releasing the resistance around that. I'm doing everything that you're doing on this journey in order to align to that, because I know that if I can manifest that, I get to have such a bigger impact in this world. Question: how do you tap into constant expansive flow without getting stuck? Reagan: I think some people think that once you tap into flow, you just stay in flow, and that's not necessarily the case, right? There are days where I wake up and I am in a low vibe. There are days where I wake up and I feel myself forcing myself forward and it doesn't feel like I'm in a flow state at all. And that's okay. I'm a human. You're a human too, and this happens. But what counts is how quickly can we recalibrate into being back in a flow state. So when I notice that I'm not in flow, I stop and I do whatever it takes in order to get myself back into the flow and get myself back into a high vibration. And in my opinion, this is one of the biggest differences between really successful people and people that have not yet created success. Because everyone has the stuff come up, everyone falls out of the flow. Everyone can get in a low vibration. But do you fall into this low vibe and do you stay there for a day or a week or a month or longer? Or do you see it and do you catch it? And are you able to be back in it in the next 20 minutes or the next hour? That's really the alchemy. That's the work, and that's the commitment. Question: what is a 5D reality? Reagan: so when we talk about 5D or the fifth dimension, we're really talking about different layers of existence that simply, to put it very simply, are layers of light oscillating at different frequencies. Okay, sure, dimensions go actually all the way up to the 49th dimension, and then after that you're in pure God or pure source, pure light, right? And sure, if you think about that on a scale, we're living in the 3D right now, which is feeling dense in terms of the wave patterns of how quickly or not that the light is oscillating. So what happens is that we have the ability to raise our frequency and allow the light within our light body and our energetic field to oscillate and vibrate at a higher frequency, which then means we get to tap into this fifth dimension. And the fourth dimension is simply a bridge, a gateway in order to access the fifth. Now, This is an in-depth topic right here. So I could run a full day training just on this topic to give you a summary when you're in the fifth dimension. How everything can manifest and happens a lot faster. You can be in the fifth dimension and still living your 3D reality simultaneously, right? It's a choice, and it comes down to how quickly you can elevate your vibe. Okay, I think I'm going to stop there. That's part 1 of the Q&A with Reagan Hillyer. See me in part 2 of the Q&A.